Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about these C-3PO shorts, which I've been working on for probably about a year on and off. And I decided I wanted to do a new set of shorts, make a mold, and do a proper one-piece, but hopefully flexible C-3PO short that matched the Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi era, and even the prequel C-3PO shorts. They all kind of had this look that I really liked, that the ones that are on my suit now just did not match. I think the one that I'm using on my current C-3PO costume is related to the Don Post statues. So it's like they took one of those statues and fixed it so they could make vacuum form bucks and did that. But there's issues with it, like the distance from the top to the crotch isn't long enough. The back, these lines here are really short on the shorts that I have on my costume. They're probably that long. They just don't look right. You never have. So I've always wanted to redo a set of shorts. And I can sculpt them from scratch. I've sculpted lots of things from scratch before. But another friend of mine had a set of vacuum form shorts that I believe are from Golden Armor. I'm not positive. The quality is terrible. But they have landmarks on these that are related to screen use shorts that are really accurate looking. They have the same kind of weird warbles, the big bulge in the crotch, and the way the lines are is good, and then the detail on the back is the correct length. There's a lot about them that are right. However, I don't know if it shows up on camera well, but the detail is just awful. Like you can see the lines are real mushy and rounded, and they're not sharp, and the insets and the cuts are they kind of are webbed because they're vacuum formed, so they're lacking the sharpness and all the details here. Same on the front. The detail is really, really lacking, especially if I turn it light like this. You can see that the grooves don't go deep enough and the angles aren't sharp enough. They're totally missing, like the detail up here on the sides and everything. Just to go back to it is all mangled up. I figured I could use this as a base to start working with. And what I did was basically melted down the monster clay, layered it into these two parts, put it in the freezer so it was like rock hard, and then I popped off the vacuum form pieces. And then I had two halves of the shorts, which were a good starting point. And there's a lot of stuff that had to be fixed. On top of that, I didn't know the dimensions, so you know the distance from front to back, how long the legs actually are, because these are trimmed too short, and the real legs on the real costume shorts are a lot longer. So these are all things I was just slowly plucking at, and I worked on it for a week or two, or maybe longer. Just started connecting the clay and trying to unwarp them, because you can see the back here. You can see how warped the castings were. So just trying to get everything sort of like straightened out and fixed. And then we got the opportunity to go to Rancho Obi-Wan, which, if you're not familiar, is the largest Star Wars collection in the world. Belongs to Steve Sansweet. We installed the sandcrawler that we built a few years ago. So I went there with Michael McMaster, and we installed the sandcrawler permanently outside of Rancho Obi-Wan. But we were there for 3 days, I think, and in that time, Steve Sansweet allowed me to take a look at his screen-used C-3PO shorts. They're actually from the droid Forlom, but they're basically repainted C-3PO shorts. They're identical to C-3PO shorts from Empire Strikes Back. So he let me take them out of the case. I got to measure everything on them. So I took measurements of the whole shebang, and I used those as my reference for these. I took 200 plus photos of every angle conceivable so that I could just really try to replicate all the little nuances. And those measurements were really helpful because it allowed me to get the width right from front to back. The circumference of the legs is the same. The gap from the crotch to the bottom of the leg, the distance from the outside of the leg to the bottom is the same. I measured all of the details on the sides here, which again on those castings were pretty much non-existent. I got a really good angle so I could see the sharpness of the details on the front, so I could recreate that. So even though I had the landmarks to work with, all the little details have been completely retooled to be sharp and nice. So being happy with the sculpt finally, I added the little buttons on the side, which I modeled in Fusion 360 and then printed them on the Form 2 printer in SLA resin, so there's no seam lines or anything. They're really, really clean. I placed them as accurately as I could so that they look like they're in the correct places, which the correct places aren't necessarily where I would place them, because same with when I did the RA7 droid, there's stuff that I wanted to fix, but I left weird so that it would be a closer match to the screen used droid. So that's a mental challenge for me. Like, should I fix this thing that's weird, or should I match it as close? So I ended up matching them as close as I could. So anyway, here's the sculpt. We'll get off with the rambling of that. And we will take a look at my first copy of the sculpt. And my second copy of the sculpt. So, as you can tell, I've made a mold of this, which is down here. We'll bring these back up in a second and have a look. I did a brush up mold, which I took time lapse of. And because this is right off of the sculpture, this is kind of you call it a waste mold, which you take a mold, make castings, and then you super clean up those castings now that they're in like a hard material. So this mold is just plaster and a brush up silicone mold inside. It's a one-piece mold, so there are no seams on the cast parts, which I think is really nice. After I get these pairs cleaned up, let me move these out of the way so we can talk a little more. Back over here, you can see I put my little stamp on the bottom. Make sure I don't bump this too much. There we go. So we'll pull the castings back up. This is my first casting out of the mold. There's some little bubbles and stuff just because I wasn't careful enough with the surface coat. And then I did more of a master copy, which is epoxy. It's really hard. We'll never wear these. They're going to stay like this, and I'm going to do just a little final cleanup. But I'm very, very happy with how these came out. The tooling marks in the clay are extremely minimal. Like as is, they're pretty much fine. But again, next version will be super polished. I am working at casting these in a few different materials. So this one, these are both made out of the same epoxy, but this one had a flexibility agent added. Oh, there's plastic in here. That, I don't know if you can see this on camera, but it's got a little bend to it. See how it flexes a little bit? I could add more of that flexing agent to these, and it would be even more flexible. And I think this might be a good option because they feel a lot like the vacuum form shorts, bendability-wise, but they're one piece. So you can put them on. You don't have to worry about the two seams coming apart. They look really, really accurate. Because the amount of flex is limited by, or controlled a little bit by how much fiberglass cloth I use, I can thicken up the top and thin out the bottom, so the bottom will have, like, let me see if I can get it here. The bottom can flex a little more than the top, and that will, make it maybe a little easier to walk. I don't know yet. Once I get them down, I'll maybe come up with a few prices for these if people want to buy them. So I'll have like a rubber version that's very close to the movies, a semi-flexible hard version like this, which again will feel more like the vacuum form shorts that everybody likes, but they will be one piece and look correct, which I think will probably be the option that I go with eventually. And then maybe like a display short that's made out of like a hard material. So anyway, I just wanted to show these to you guys. And like I said, I will come up with prices for all of these things as I have a chance. And if anybody wants a free version, we can take a look at the digital ones that I'm working on. They're based on the Dawn Post scans that I got from the Happy One, which have all the same issues that my old vacuum form shorts have, but I am modding them in ZBrush to look more like these shorts, which I think are much, much more accurate. Anyway, let's go take a look at the digital version. So these are the files that I'm doing the shorts from. These were posted on Thingiverse by the Happy One. That's the screen name to look for if you want the Dawn Post C-3PO scans. And these are the shorts that I will be using. You can see they're attached to the torso. I just brought these in here for an example. Now, as an aside here, one thing that really bothers me about the Dawn Post statue is this crazy arched back for 3PO. Everybody assumes 3PO leans way far back, but he really doesn't. It's an illusion because the shape of the torso here and this thing in the back gives the impression that he's leaning back. But when other people put the costume on, they always want to lean back really far, and it looks ridiculous. So you really should be like this. Let's invert this here. Should probably really be about, I don't know, that area here. That's about how much lean there should be. That's about right. This piece here should be just about perpendicular to the ground if he's standing up properly. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. For this video, I don't even know why I'm showing you this. We'll get back to that some other time. Let's do this. Let's hide this and take a look at the shorts here. Now, this is essentially what I'm going to be starting with. You can see over here I've got a couple things going. This is how they look right out of the scan. There are some things that are right. Like there's some little bit of asymmetry in this area that is sort of correct, but then there's some stuff that's really weird, like from basically about where this mask is, all this dark area down looks like it's been resculpted or something, because it just does not look right. The profile is really weird. The crotch, from the bottom of the crotch to this curve here, is too short, and the same on the back. The line details here and the butt crack to the top ratio is just way too short compared to the real costume parts. So that's what I'm trying to fix. So anyway, this is where I started. That noise is my dog flicking dog food onto the floor. I have taken a version and gone to here. Now the legs are obviously a little overextended and they're a little bit too wide right now because I'm just starting out, but I'm lengthening the legs back out so that they'll be whole. And most of the detail is pretty symmetrical already, minus a couple little weird warbles in here that I would like to keep the asymmetry in this area. But everything else, I kind of don't care if it's symmetrical. So what I am going to do, and I've started, is I have made a symmetrical version of the front. So you can see it's exactly even. And that means the back is a little wrong. So I made a symmetrical version of the back. And I'm going to blend between the two. See, the one with the symmetrical back that looks good, is the front looks weird, and vice versa. The front looks good on this one, but the back looks weird. So I'm going to blend between the two and then combine them and sculpt everything, get everything cleaned up, make sure that the legs are the right shape and that the distance from the front to back is correct, and try to get general shape fixes in place. And I'll probably extend the bottom here a little bit. Just for example, it probably needs to be about that much longer to really start to be the right shape, somewhere in there. But anyway, I'm going to figure that all out based on my new shorts that I've been sculpting, and make them match as closely as possible. And then once the shapes here are really good and the legs are nice and round and look correct, what I'm going to do is reintroduce the asymmetrical front portion and kind of just merge this back in. So you still have the little weird asymmetry parts going on, but everything else is basically symmetrical and fits right. I feel like when it's asymmetrical, it's almost like wearing two shoes where one shoe has tighter laces than the other shoe. It just feels bizarre. So I want them to be the same. And again, basically I'm going to put them all on so you can see them together. So when they're all on, you can see how they kind of overlap each other. So basically when it's finished, the front will still pretty much look similar to this. I like to keep the wavy lines. The crotch will be fixed. I'm going to fix how far this comes out. I really think that this is pushed out so far because, let me back this guy up so we can go back to the original Dawn post look. I feel like the shorts are pushed out so far because they added this really deep return around the edge, which the screen use shorts don't come back that far. I don't know why they're like that. Also, the person who posed in the suit for the statue, you can see they've got a little bit of a pooch here. You see their belly is just really like tight in there. You can actually see an indentation of their belly button a little bit on the scan, which I never noticed on the real statue. It's kind of interesting. But I'm wondering if their belly is actually pushing the shorts out so far and making them a little mouse-shaped, misshapen. I don't know, one of those words. So anyway, that's what I'm going to try to fix. And I'll have a digital version up soon. I might even post like in progress versions as I go. And, you know, feel free to grab them. As soon as they're up there, I'll put a link, and they will be in progress. So, you know, grab at your own risk kind of thing. But all right, let's go back to the shop. All right, so hopefully those 3D files are useful to some of you. They're going to match these as closely as possible. I know I've said that before, but, you know, it gives you options to try stuff in printer filament as well. You can do flexible filament, hard filament, make display things, and I will post them for free on Thingiverse once they're done. I'm not rushing this, so it might not be terribly soon, but they'll be up there. But anyway, if you're interested in some of these, let me know. I'm going to try to work out a few different versions and get them figured out before I sell them. But I will have them posted soon enough. So just keep your eyes open. And fun times ahead. I'm going to go throw these on. We're going to take a look. I'm going to model them for you. Here it is. Me looking ridiculous as ever. But you can see the shorts fit. They work nice. I can put them on in one piece. Now, everybody's going to ask me what my waist size is. I wear, typically I wear a size 30 in pants. My waist is probably closer to a 28, but I get 30s just in the safe side in case I gain a little bit. But there's a little bit of room. As long as you can get these things over your butt, you should be all right. But there they are. There's the back. No. Excellent. All right, guys, have fun. Thanks for stopping by. I will see you soon.